Howdy folks, welcome back to Boondockery. Today I have a series of product reviews for you. All of these products are produced by Survival Solutions. I'm going to be reviewing the O.P.E.S.E Poncho, the Swack Shack, and the custom-made Uber Swack. If you're new to the channel, you may not be aware of my personal policy for reviewing a product. I have to have had it for quite some time. I had to have used it in any weather condition and in any season. And I've had to really put it through its paces. Sometimes I've used a piece of kit for years before I even thought about giving it a review. The three products that I'm reviewing today fit that bill to a T. The newest product I've had for at least 8 years. That's the Uber Swack. The O.P.E.S.E Poncho and the Swack Shack I've had for probably 10. About as soon as Survival Solutions had them on the market, I purchased them. And I have used them in every weather condition and every environment. And I use them frequently. The first product I'm going to talk to you about today is the O.P.E.S.E Poncho. The term O.P.E.S.E stands for Oversized Poncho, Shelter Emergency Camouflage. The O.P.E.S.E Poncho is made of 70 denier coated ripstop nylon, available in multicam and white. It's 104 inches long and 59 inches wide. It has 7 15mm ring snaps, 8 3/8 inch grommets. It has 3 feet of paracord incorporated into the hood with 2 cord locks. And it's all sewn together with size 46 mil-spec nylon thread. Now in many regards this looks like your standard issue poncho, but it's got a couple surprises. One thing, it's a good bit larger than your traditional poncho. The other thing is right here in the back. If you notice, this is folded over and is snapped into place in 3 locations along the back of the poncho. This does something that your standard military issue poncho cannot do. Now, after using the standard military issue poncho for many years when I was in the Army, it had one big failing. When you were carrying a pack, your poncho, it was difficult to get over your pack to begin with, but you also had a big lift to the tail. So that meant the back of your legs was always going to get wet in pouring rain. This has a special unsnapping ability to increase the length of your poncho by 14 inches. So not only are you going to be able to keep your pack dry, your front dry, but you're going to stay dry all the way down to the middle of your calves. I'm going to put a pack on and show you how that works. I have my Mystery Ranch mountain ruck, which is a huge rucksack. I've got it cram packed. And I have the snaps undone so you can see how much longer it is than a standard poncho. The standard poncho would have been 14 inches shorter than this. That's about that much distance, and it makes a huge difference when it's pouring down rain. Once you have your snaps snapped, it's going to pull that in close. You have pretty decent range of motion because it is a little bit wider than a regular poncho, and I'm dry, all my stuff is dry. Another great thing about this poncho is it's super easy to use as an emergency shelter. Those 3 snaps that we use to extend the length when we're carrying a large pack, well, those can be snapped together around a branch, a fallen deadfall, whatever you happen to have, and loop that bottom section around snapping those closed, I then can stake out the other two grommets. And this basically alleviates any need for any additional paracord. If I wanted to, I could extend this 3 feet of paracord, tie it off to a branch, stretch down, lift it up off the ground, or I could put a stick or something like that in there to get it up off my body. But it's an absolutely fantastic, super fast, super low profile emergency shelter as well. Okay folks, the next product I'm going to tell you about is the Swack Shack. The Swack Shack has all of the same manufacturing features as the O.P.S.E.C Poncho. The 70 denier coated ripstop nylon, the same type of thread shown it, the same style and size of grommets. There are 8 grommets on this, and there are 3 sections of webbing. I wanted to point out the very unique way that they sewed the webbing loops onto the Swack Shack. This is designed to where they will not fatigue the stitching in the same way as a simple folded loop goes. The Swack Shack was originally designed as a basha and was designed using the specifications by George W. Jasper, the author of the Field Survival Manual, 6 ways in and 12 ways out. But that does a huge amount for the survivability of this tarp, having that type of a loop. Another thing I found really interesting, every single bit of webbing, wherever it's positioned, they use different colors. So there's brown here, there's green here, there's tan over on the other side. And I think that's brilliant too. When you see a lot of the similar shapes of the similar color at a distance, it stands out. This type of idea negates that. I have the Swack Shack set up in a typical A-frame fashion. The tarp itself, the basha itself, is 8.5 feet long by 7 feet wide, and it weighs approximately 1¼ pound. So it's very lightweight. It's fairly compact, but still big enough to do what you need it to do. I have used this a lot. I mean a lot. I probably used this exclusively for the 2 years that I owned it, above and beyond any other tarp system that I had. This is weathered unbelievably well. And I used to use it with an old Hennessy hammock that I had, which was an asymmetric hammock. And of course it came with a tarp, but it was a dark green. I'm not real keen on real dark colors and things like that, even if it is green. And I was able to use the Swack Shack in an asymmetrical fashion because it's a rectangular tarp. It was phenomenal. It was almost like it was designed for it, and it worked fantastic with that. I have used, I could not begin to tell you how many times I've actually used this. And I haven't always used it to camp under. Sometimes I've set it up for shelter. Sometimes I've set it up for a hammock fly. Sometimes I've set it up to protect firewood. I've used it for all kinds of things. I've used it to gather leaves, to make debris shelters and things like that. And this thing is in phenomenal shape to this day. None of the grommets even though it's been exposed to some pretty decently high winds, have ever failed. They've never torn. There's not a bit of tattered fabric on the Swack Shack. And I can't sing high enough praises for it. Now, because I have used it in a lot of different ways, I'm getting a little bit of sag, a little bit of stretch here, and that just goes with the territory. If you're going to use it in those types of ways, you can expect some fabric fatigue. The seams, however, all the seams are still taut. They are exactly the way they were when I first bought it. Now, when I show you the Uber Swack, which is the 10 by 10 version of this, you're going to see a significant amount of stretch on that, because I've used it for plow points, I've used it for all different types of tarp configurations, and as a result, over a period of time, the fabric has a tendency to stretch just a little bit. Even though it has stretched, even though it's a little floppy, it's still 100% waterproof. I check this every once in a while when I have it out, and I do like the pinhole test. I get underneath of it when the sun's shining down on it. These things are still 100% waterproof. I don't know where they purchased this fabric, but wherever it was, they should be selling it to everybody, because I have bought other products from other companies that the demure coating, it gets gummy, it starts to decompose, it peels, or it's not even. And taking it right out of the package, you hold it up to the sunlight and you see pinholes. Not the Swack Shack. Survival Solutions, I don't know where they get their fabric from, but that is the place to get it if you want to make good quality waterproof items. Folks, this is the Uber Swack. This is absolutely ginormous. It's 10 foot by 10 foot. This was a custom build or a custom manufacture that my buddy John Walsh contacted Survival Solutions and said, hey, we love the Swack Shack, we love the O.P.E.S.E poncho, but we want something bigger. And so the two of them worked the design out. There's no grommets on this, it's all webbing. It's all webbing. There's webbing that goes across both directions, all the way around the exterior of the seams. And I have used this more than any other tarp I own. And you know, I use the Swack Shack quite a bit, and but once I got this, it was, you know, it was the Uber shelter. It's absolutely ginormous to use, and since it's square, you can put it in any of those possible tarp configurations. You can form it into that sort of dome tent. You can do plow points with it. You can do diamond shelters with it. Anything you can do with traditional square tarp, you can do with this. The size is absolutely fantastic. Like I said, over the years, it's gotten a little stretched out. I have no complaints about that. I just put a little bungee cord on here to stretch it out, pull it up out of the inside, and just like the Swack Shack, this thing is still 100% usable. There's no pinholes in the waterproofing. All the seams, all the stitching are absolutely spot on. Some of the webbing has gotten worn and frayed a little bit, but that's it. They haven't failed. The webbing is actually tubular webbing. It's not flat webbing. So a tubular webbing is far stronger than flat webbing to begin with, but it's also got a more flexible quality to it. It stretches a little bit more, so it's not quite as rigid, and it won't have the negative friction effects with tying things out with 550 cord that you have with flat webbing. I absolutely love this shelter, and I'm going to put all of the pricing, all of the links to Survival Solutions, all the specs and everything in the description box. and so that way you can see all that stuff there. I'm sort of losing light now, and I just want to wrap this up, but I'll give you a couple more views of the Uber Swack, and then I'm going to be wrapping things up. Here's the interior view. It's being pulled out by the bungees, keeping that center off of here. This has sustained some pretty high winds. It's very windy today, but I used this tarp when I went to Dolly Sods the first time. We had 60-mile-an-hour wind gusts, and this thing did not fail. None of the stitching, none of the webbing, nothing. It was amazing. We got the wind pulling in this way, so you can see where the sides have sagged in a little bit, and where I have them pulled out with the bungee cord. But after about 8 years of very hard use, if that's the only thing that's gone wrong with this particular tarp, I'm very pleased. These are 100% American-made products, and so you don't have to worry about the supply chain getting you. 100% American-made, without a doubt, the highest quality manufacturing of any tarp that I own. And I own some good tarps. I own some very good tarps. But these, hands down, are made the best of any of the tarps I own. Folks, you have probably seen these tarps in more of my videos than any other tarps that I use. And I always have my O.P.S.E.C poncho with me. And it rolls up very compact, it's very lightweight, and especially being able to put that over my pack, it's absolutely fantastic. When I want to go lightweight, I want to go super compact, but I don't want to give up the ability to have some wet weather gear. I take my Swack Shack. It's a basic basher for all intents and purposes, but it's super well made, and the features that it has, I like pretty well, especially the combination of webbing and grommets for tie outs. Again, it's lightweight, very compact, and so I want to go super lightweight, super compact. Those are two items I always take with me. And the best thing about either one is they have multi uses. And with the Uber Swack, this is my Taj Mahal in multicam. I've used this more than any other tarp that I own. It's super well built. I have no complaints about it other than it's stretching a little bit. Oh, who doesn't stretch a little bit when they get older, right? Right. Well, folks, I hope you check out Survival Solutions website. I hope you check out the O.P.S.E.C poncho, the Swack Shack, and if you're interested in custom-made tarps, give them a call, see what kind of deal they can work out for you. Again, I'll put all the specs on everything down in the description box below, but I can't understand why I haven't reviewed these things before. I take them for granted because they're always with me. That should say a lot right there. But fantastic quality, folks. Well, folks, if you would, if you like today's video, click that thumbs up button. And if this is your first time visiting the channel and you like what's going on, you might consider subscribing. And of course, if you've subscribed, it's just absolutely silly not to hit the notifications bell, because you want to stay up to date on all my awesome videos. Who doesn't, really? Don't forget to share it. If you have other friends that are interested in any of the products I talked about today, share it with them. If you think they like what's going on with the channel, share it with them. And also, my very favorite part of this whole YouTube thing is the comments. That's my favorite part of doing all of this, is reading the comments. And I get a wealth of knowledge shared through those comments that the viewers will glean a tremendous amount of information from, as well as me. I learn stuff from them. You know what I know. I'm not an expert on anything, but I'm willing to share what I do know. And when you comment and you share a little bit of what you know, that just adds to the cornucopia of our bushcrafting and wild camping knowledge. Well, folks, Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.